Tim, I've never been to this part of Minneapolis.
We're in Japan.
Holy smokes.
We're here for a specific reason, though, I think.
A fun reason.
The cover story was Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, I thought you were talking about karaoke.
We do have kind of rough voices because we sang Snake Eater for like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, we were in the mood to sing that because the cover story. And part of the cover story and our coverage with the game was we got to play through Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Which, say the whole thing. Like if you go through the main mission, it was like, I think it took us each an hour and a half.
Yeah, I was really taking my time that first time, just kind of learning the mechanics and everything,
Yeah.
and just trying to be stealthy and failing terribly.
Yeah.
That's not the game's fault. I'm terrible at it.
The way they communicate whether you're hidden and stuff is way different now. You used to have it so that there'd be the camo index.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big part of it.
I kind of liked that. In
like
3.
having the percentage.
Yeah, I didn't like having to go into the menu in 3 and switch it out all the time. I kind of liked how they did it in 4, where you could just do the octo camo thing.
Yeah.
But this is totally different.
It seemed like common sense was a big part of it, where it's just like, well, if I crawl, they're probably not going to see me.
One thing that was great for me is that since I'm getting caught constantly, there's kind of a grace period that didn't exist in the past game. This reflex mode.
Yeah.
Let's say a guy over here sees me, it'll slow-mo time, and you've got a few seconds to aim up a shot like a tranquilizer dart right between his eyes, and you can see it just go in and fall asleep. It's super satisfying. And then they drop, and then there's no alert or anything, and you got that oh, okay.
It's really nice, and it didn't make the game super easy or anything, because not every instance is it helpful. Maybe you might have walked past and there's a crate in between you and that guy now, so it's not always useful. You still have to be really careful, but when it works and you pull it off, it's really nice to have the reflex mode. Same with the marking enemies using your binoculars. I got really addicted to just doing that and making sure, because you can track them all the time. That also feeds into, if they're marked, you can sense when they're close by. You can start to
walls.
see them through walls, and then they almost have a Far Cry 3 type detection thing where you can see it. Like in Far Cry 3, they had this little thing would fill, this tiny little meter would fill, and once it got solid, it means that guy saw you.
Ground Zero specifically, it is this kind of big open base, and if one way didn't work, or you keep getting spotted when I'm going between these tents or whatever, it's like, well, why don't I try going over here? I can jump in this truck, and if you want to just go crazy with it, you can take a truck and just drive it straight to the place where you need to save the girl, and which we should talk about what you're actually doing.
Right, yeah, and so in Ground Zeroes, Big Boss needs to rescue Paz, who is, and Chico, who are both key players in Peace Walker.
Yeah.
And Paz, it's a complicated history where ultimately, she was working for the Patriots, for Zero and stuff.
Yeah.
So bad people. Yeah. She stole Metal Gear and stuff, but Miller and Big Boss had a soft spot for her. They thought that she could be saved, And Chico was always with them.
Yeah. One thing I was worried about initially was that man, you're featuring Paz and Chico here, and these are characters from Peace Walker. Is this going to be tough to get into? Because just naturally, people don't own PSP as much as they own PS2 and PS3. Are you about to sneeze?
No, I was suppressing a yawn.
You're making a really weird face. But yeah, they've got kind of a backstory thing where it's got 11 pages of text and just their codec conversations and stuff. It's not hard to follow.
But I still got into it. I was really excited to see those characters and get back into that world and continue Big Boss's story. So, at the end of the day, though, you're rescuing 2 prisoners and bringing them to a helicopter and getting away. That's the goal.
The entire goal. I mean, there's all sorts of fun things you can do. It's a big sandbox.
Yeah.
It's very open in the way you do that, but it really comes down to get Chico, get Paz, put them in helicopters, get the hell out of there.
What's cool about that too is that there's other POWs around there that you can go and rescue. When we talked with Kojima, he was saying that kind of like in Peace Walker, where you'd use the Fulton recovery system to capture guards and scientists and stuff. Those guys that you rescue in Ground Zeroes will feed into your mother base in the Phantom Pain. Yeah. So you'll kind of be building up your base that way.
It's kind of funny when I first went into that place where they're detaining all those kids or whatever. It's I just went into the first place I saw and grabbed a guy with a bag on his head and started carrying him out of there thinking it was Chico. And I looked over and I could see Chico. He didn't have a mask on his head. And I just dumped the guy on the grass and grabbed Chico.
Oh, that was pretty nice of you. I like dumping guys off the cliff.
Honestly, I think gameplay-wise, it's the best Metal Gear Solid I've played, and it's the biggest step forward for the series. They take a lot of the old standbys of Metal Gear, like the equipment and weapon things where you hold in the triggers, and you that's not there anymore. You just use the D-pad. You about to yawn again?
Yeah. Man. Yeah, no, the D-pad works out really well, and you can hold it down and then pick through your weapons more carefully.
Or do a double tap for quick.
It makes total sense right away. Maybe some of the weird stuff is just use the radio, L1. You always just look at something and you can call Miller and a codec, and it doesn't go to another screen, and it'll just talk about what you're looking at.
I think one major improvement is CQC in 3 and 4. It's I love being able to do stuff like that, like grab a guy and shoot a guy and slit a throat or do whatever. He's about to yawn again. What were we talking about? CQC. So in previous ones, yeah, I like the idea of being able to do all that stuff, but it was always like, okay, so I'm gonna hold square, but then if I want to aim a gun, I gotta hold this thing. But then do I let go of them?
And it was weird, and it's just like, oh, I shot my gun off.
Something stupid happens. Whereas this, it's like you hit the trigger to grab them for CQC, and it's very obvious. Like press this, like little icons show up.
Yeah, knock them out, interrogate
it's a skull,
them,
you know,
kill
this
them.
is a daisy head or whatever.
That's the cool thing about interrogating dudes is just like, since it's an open world and that map is much more complete than like in previous Metal Gears, the guy says like, oh, there's ammo here, and then it just highlights on your map. Or here's a drainage ditch over here, and you can use it to sneak into a different part of the compound, which I really liked that. Also, something worth mentioning for people that like don't want to hit start and bring up their map all the time, because it doesn't pause the action. If you have like an iPhone or an iPad or an Android or iOS thing, you can just basically have that going. So it's kind of like your mini map, and
I like that.
Interact with it. It was cool when we were trying it.
You can call the chopper. Basically everything you can do in that pause menu, like you can play tapes and stuff. You can call choppers and things. Hi, how's it going? And yeah, you can do all that stuff on the screen. Yeah. Can we talk about this bench? Look at this.
There's so much wasted space here.
They put the thing like 1.5 feet in.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
It plays really, really well.
I really like the different approaches as far as, again, it's just those two people you have to save, but just the different ways you can go about it. Like, you're very stealthy, so like, you can even do a thing where you like shut down the power in the base, which shuts down all the security cameras, all the lights and everything, and you can just kind of sneak pause out and take her to the chopper. Whereas like one time, like I'm kind of more the just gung-ho approach. I drove a truck up to the entrance. I just sprinted in, I killed everyone, I grabbed pause, I went and I threw her in the passenger seat of the truck, and she's like, you know, passed out and stuff. I get in the truck and I'm trying to just book it towards the landing zone. A tank sees me and shoots me, and my truck is on fire, and so I dive out, but the truck is on fire and now going down the helipad with pause in it, so I'm sprinting after the truck that's on fire to pull this girl out.
That's what's awesome about it. Like, one of the funnest things about the Metal Gear games has just been seeing like the systems kind of interact with one another, and this is the most complicated set of systems. It reminds me, I know we made this analogy, but like when the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo came with Zone of the Enders, and you just played that first part of the tanker up until the Olga fight, and you just spend time just dinking around with stuff, and that's what Ground Zeroes kind of feels like.
And
given it's not a free demo, but you know, there's a lot of stuff where it's just like, hey, I think I should be able to do that. I should probably try that. That truck's headlights will probably give me away, but I don't want to get in it, so I can shoot out the headlights. And like when I was trying to do like my Dan Reichert style playthrough and just blow it, I just drove up to, I'm like, I'm just gonna drive this Jeep over to Chico and then just drive off. It'll be awesome. I had my Jeep down there, and then just dudes were just pouring in after me, and I was just using the Jeep as cover. It's hard to be sneaky and get by people, but it's pretty easy to get away because there's so much space. And I was really impressed because one of the guards like went around and went up the watchtower and like looked around and used the searchlight and then found me, and then everyone was just like, there he is. Well, I was simultaneously surprised and impressed. So they had set up a PS4 and an Xbox One for us to play on, and we did both. I think it was even Kojima that said like the PS4 version looks a little better, and I think it did. I think I noticed some things with just like the way the hair kind of looked, like Big Boss's hair.
The whole time I was playing Ground Zeroes was on Xbox One, and it's awesome.
It feels great. Didn't see the PS3 or 360 version of it, so can't speak to that.
That'll be interesting to see how those turn out. Earlier you mentioned that, you know, this is not a free demo like the tanker section. It is worth talking about. People are going to complain.
Last gen version for 360 and PS3 is $20 digitally, $30 physical. And then current generation Xbox One and PS4 is $30 digitally, $40 physical. And yeah, I mean, we saw credits after about an hour and a half.
And that's, you know, to be honest too, like after we already knew what to do basically, like there's one time that I needed to just see the end again for some notes. And like you can speedrun it pretty quick. Like they were talking to the guys at the studio, they can literally beat Ground Zeroes in under 5 minutes.
Right. I mean, the distinction we have to make, just for like full disclosure, is that we only played the main mission and one other mission.
There's these side ops. And that's the thing. Like, I think to just say like, oh, you can beat it in a half hour, you can beat it in 5 minutes, is not doing it justice, because you're not experiencing the game if you're doing it like that. I mean, I do think it's pretty replayable. I think it's a lot of fun to replay and try different tactics. And the side ops, there's different stuff, where there's some silly stuff there.
But it is pretty unprecedented, like this price for that. It's you know, it's like hard to ever say like what a game should cost. You don't ever just really see games in like the $30 $30 bracket.
It's rare.
And if they are, they're usually like, you know, Ride to Hell, Retribution, or Deadfall, or like these kind of crappy games that just people know, they understand that this is kind of a value game. I don't know.
But you know, I would take the relatively short experience of Ground Zeroes over any of those like bargain games. I mean, this is a really good, really polished game, and it does a fantastic job of making you super excited for Phantom Pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, if they're going to improve on this.
Yeah.
I mean, a whole game with these mechanics and everything.
I think that people are going to be taken aback by the price and then how quickly you can beat it, but I think people are going to want to explore it a lot. Like, I know I want to play it again.
Oh, yeah.
And you're talking about getting excited for Phantom Pain, like just the story stuff, like the way that ends is ridiculous. Like, it's so grim. It's such a grim note, and it perfectly leads up to like what we've seen of Big Boss, you know. Like,
it makes sense that he's going to be very grim and very depressed and like, God, I had to shoot his beloved lady in the head.
Yeah, and then her horse.
Yeah, he shot her horse.
Yeah.
And then the thing that happened at the end of Ground Zeroes is totally like oh wow.
Then you shot the guy that trained her horse.
He hates horses.
Yeah, it's
really, everyone that ever knew that horse.
He's had such a hard life, and you see so much of it in there.
Seriously, I mean, that ending it's up there in the most shocking like Metal Gear moments I can think of.
We gotta get a little bit like a good taste of Kiefer Sutherland's Snake.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get used to it.
Yeah, me too. He definitely got more like subtleties to him and stuff. And David Hayter is awesome as his voice is. Like, it was a little one note. I'm excited to play more of it. I'm excited for Phantom Pain. I mean, God knows when that's going to finally come out.
God, I really want to play that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited to see where the story goes. You know, we got a little flavor for Troy Baker's Ocelot and one of the post-credit things. Surprise, Ocelot has like a post-credits thing.
It's just such a fun series to talk about. I mean, we've been in Japan now for a week, and we have spent so many hours just talking about it.
We would go play the game, and then we would just go get curry or something, and then just talk breathlessly and theorize and speculate, and it's just one of the most ripe series for that sort of conversation.
Yeah, it's so damn silly too. That's what's so fun about it.
It's pretty self-aware, and there is like, if people are really worried, like in the same way that like Dead Rising 3 came out, everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be super serious and lose its personality. Like, those extra missions, like the Deja Vu thing for PS4 or PlayStation, and then the Raiden stuff, like, it's goofy. They have a good sense of humor. There's some interesting cameos going on.
Yeah. They were saying that the tone of Phantom Pain is going to be much more grim and dark, which kind of makes sense considering where the story is going.
And then, of course, you know, talking with Kojima and stuff, he seemed really interested to hearing what we had to say about the game.
He's curious, what did you use in the Pachico mission?
I went to the right. I tried to go across the helipad. Yeah. It went okay.
He was saying if you ride the truck and you get into in the back of the truck, it will be really easy.
My coworker Dan did the truck, I think.
弾が2台乗りました。One thing that won't make it significantly easy is just turn off the electricity from the base. It turns off all the cameras, and it will make it much more easy.
Did you make the game or something? That's a great idea.
作りましたね、これは。さては。
It is an awesome game. Like, it's going to be, it's so fun to play with.
People are going to have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, they are. Both
in every way.
In every possible way, which is especially fans of the series. So I'm excited.
I'm extremely excited for Phantom Pain. Extremely. It's my #1 most anticipated game. But I am looking forward to. I'm glad we have this little present of this Ground Zeroes package coming so much earlier.
Yeah.
Because I want to dink around with it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably beat this a lot.
It's gonna tide us over. You know, it's kind of got like it's like a more expensive version of what Capcom did with Dead Rising 2, and I loved that.
The K0 thing.
Yeah, it got me so excited, and there's things that feed into it, and you get to explore this world, get a taste of it ahead of time, which is awesome. I hope that more developers try stuff like this, you know, with varying approaches. So.
And I hope people focus on how good this game is, and not just when you see credits.
Yeah, it's important. Like, you can have the discussion about the price, but it's not intrinsically linked to the quality of the game.
The quality is top notch.
Prices can be, you can argue price mismatches across the board, but it doesn't stop this from being a lot of fun. So.
I'd say right now is the most excited I've been about the Metal Gear Solid series in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.